Merry Christmas, sailors! Today we're going to skip the usual after Christmas lunch hangout, the supposedly foolproof solutions for the world that our brother-in-law is going to propose to us, the bingo game, and, above all, having to sit through on TV the endless reruns of all the Christmas Eve specials. We're going to show you something a bit more interesting. Today we're going to take a closer look at the ins and outs of how our YouTube channel is made. What we don't usually show you, the little tricks, the mistakes, the rush, and all the work behind each and every episode.
And now it's the little tune already. Well then, go on, play the little tune.
Hello sailors, and a very warm welcome to a completely brand new episode of The Low Cost Sailor.
It fills me with great pride and deep satisfaction to be able to join you on this truly special occasion of togetherness, family, reflection, and good intentions that is the Christmas season.
This Christmas afternoon, we've decided to set our families aside for a while so we can spend a little bit of time with you in this special Christmas episode. Well, and here comes the first lie of television. Of course, today isn't Christmas. The truth is we're calmly recording this about a week earlier, just like what happens with all those Christmas specials you see on TV. But there's more, because since this is YouTube, who knows when you'll be watching it? You might even be watching it in August, right? Still, let's consider that the magic of Christmas, because about a year ago around this time, I decided to create my own YouTube channel. And it didn't take much effort for me to recruit Carlos to help me with these tasks. And creating a YouTube channel is usually something as simple as having something to say. You don't need much more. In my case, walking around my own boat and seeing all the inventions I had built, and all the gadgets I had bought and tried from AliExpress, and above all, seeing the rip-offs they were trying to hit me with every time I needed something in the marine category, I decided to create this channel. A channel to share my view of what it's like to have a boat, the inventions you can build, and some of the craziness and silliness that are part of my personality. For those of you who aren't followers of the channel and have ended up here by searching on Google, I should warn you that we're a modest channel. We don't intend to tell you how to succeed on YouTube or make a living from this, because we don't know ourselves. It's only meant to be a small guide for newcomers on how to get started with this YouTube thing, and for our followers as well, covering all the secrets and everything you've asked us about what goes on behind the scenes. Creating a YouTube channel isn't a big mystery. It's as simple as using any Google account on YouTube, clicking the button that says Create New Channel, and choosing an original descriptive name, then you're started. If you also want that name to be part of a personalized YouTube URL, then you're already creating the channel. What will you need? At least 30 days since the channel was created, so it will allow you to set your own URL and to start working toward your first 100 subscribers, because that's also required. In my case, it was relatively easy, just a couple of days of reaching out to friends and family so they'd subscribe to the channel. I don't know how many of them are still watching our videos, but hey, at least they served their purpose and we got our custom URL.
Then add a nice logo, a banner, contact information, fill in a few things, and of course create accounts on the most popular social networks so you can communicate, get yourselves known, and share with your followers more quickly than through YouTube when you have them. Of course, at first your followers will be your mom, your aunt, and maybe a cousin from Cuenca, and with those followers it'll probably be easier to just call them on the phone, but they'll come. The followers will come.
Well, and that's it. Now you've got your channel, so now go look for a house in Andorra and live off the gravy train.
Well, maybe we need to do something else too, right? One little thing. It occurs to me. Maybe the videos, maybe we need to make videos too.
Right. YouTube is really about making videos, so the very first step would be figuring out how to actually make a YouTube video. It's about making good videos, enjoying it, and the rest will come in time, if it ever does. Making a video is a creative process. There are hugely successful channels that make mishmashes of images from other channels with a metallic voiceover, or very personal channels talking straight to the audience, telling your life story and day-to-day. My wife loves those. Or tutorials, where on YouTube today you can find how to do anything you can think of. Well, we're kind of halfway in between.
A mix.
A mashup. tutorials, and our own stuff, well, the creative process at the Low Cost Sailor usually starts by finding an idea for an episode. This usually happens while taking a walk around the boat and checking out some gadget or invention I've already made that's worth telling about, or as the result of some summer sailing trip, or some crazy idea that comes to me with Carlos when we're driving on the way to some work trip and that kind of thing. But a lot of the ideas come up in the most unexpected places. Working out, sailing, sprawled out on the couch. Well, basically anywhere. I usually share ideas with Carlos and he often says, "That's enough for 2 episodes." I always feel like I don't have much to say, but it actually goes a long way.
And that you're a chatterbox who never shuts up.
It could be, it could be. These days, quite a few ideas come from your comments. What you ask for, the questions you ask, or the needs and inventions I think of while browsing. Things that hadn't really occurred to me until then.
By the way, it's been a long time since we asked for that thing about feeding the algorithm.
Feed the algorithm.
The algorithm actively consumes comments. Feed the algorithm.
Not us, but the algorithm definitely does. What's clear is that the first step of any episode is the idea. Throughout my life, you can't even imagine the ideas I've had for inventions, businesses, stories, solutions, products, websites, games, everything. But only ideas that are put into practice and developed are worth anything. And usually the real effort and value aren't in the idea itself, but in developing it. No matter how many ideas you have, if you don't act on them, they're worth nothing. Those of you who've had the good luck or bad luck to know me in person have probably realized by now that I can talk and improvise for hours. But rambling takes a lot of editing in a video, and I like to keep it in a certain order. So in each episode there's a script, and developing the script on a modest channel like this is a personal, simple creative process that doesn't require major resources. Don't scratch.
Good morning, Mr. Fernandez.
Morning.
The stats for the last video are a little weak, only 100 billion views.
100 billion views? Who the hell actually wrote that goddamn episode?
Well, on the other hand, the sponsors are already calling, and the minutes are currently being auctioned off.
What is it now?
1 million euros per minute.
1 million euros per minute?
Well, and the AliExpress team called from AliExpress asking where are they sending you the amphibious quad?
Another one.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Let's see. My god, it seems that I have to be the one who comes. Anyway. Well then, let's see exactly what you've got prepared for me today, writers.
I have an idea. Curtains specifically designed for boats. Please take a careful look.
Sailboats and yoga. Sailboats and yoga. Yoga is very trendy right now.
Sailboats and yoga?
I have something about saving dolphins.
Curtis, sailboats and yoga save the dolphins. What in the hell are you bringing me here for? Please, I'm leaving right now. I'm leaving. That'd be cool. And that's how we'd like it to be. But the harsh reality is different. And the fact that my brain is a bit imaginative really does help, no doubt. Normally, the script gets written in my brain while I'm doing other things. Parts of what I want to tell you come to me while I'm riding my bike, out doing other things, or taking care of responsibilities with my kids, my wife, or at work. Well, half of the brilliant things I come up with slip my mind almost immediately until I finally find a bit of time between my responsibilities and I get to it on the couch, on the terrace, on the boat, between bottles, wherever I can. We have to write, and write fast, because we always end up doing things at the last minute. And in the script, we try to keep a predictable format. People like consistency, and episodes usually follow a pretty well-defined sequence of chapters, especially the ones in a tutorial format. But we never miss a chance to tell an interwoven story, if it's possible, of course, if it fits. I can say that sometimes even Carlos reads the script before filming. Let's say not very often, because we always end up getting there at the last minute and with all the rush from our obligations. We already have the idea, we already have the script, and then it's time to film the episode itself. All of our episodes have essentially two shoots, the main timeline and the complementary videos. The main timeline is this shot you're all so familiar with, and it's where I deliver my direct, important speech, improvised, and it basically sets the main thread that guides the rest of the video. This is the part where Carlos is behind the camera, and you can tell by the care in the details, the framing, the lighting. Here we use a good camera on its tripod to record, and we pay very close attention to the audio. An obsession with the classic mic on my lapel, always visible in this shot, and Carlos gets furious when I brush it with my clothes. This is the part that's directly guided by the script, which in the first episodes I had off to the side somewhere, and every now and then I'd take a look to see what I was supposed to say. But, as always, the magic of cinema makes it so that right now I'm reading exactly what I'm telling you, directly from my Chinese teleprompter. You can't imagine just how much we've improved on the amount of time we spend on retakes and mistakes ever since we started using this teleprompter trick. It's a machine that saves us work. I mean, I can read the script directly and not mess up too much, although obviously we do lose it sometimes too. Because, of course, I've already mentioned to you that Carlos almost never reads the script, and that's exactly when his interjections show up. Comments like this one, like this very interjection. Quips that don't really do anything except throw me off the main storyline, but that are also kind of our trademark. Because no matter how much I've written out what I'm saying beforehand, I still somehow manage to mess up. Sometimes I don't even truly understand what I should be writing in the script. This is where Carlos can really take delight in throwing in a bunch of those bloopers that I usually end up making anyway. Blooper, don't get ahead of yourselves. Dad, you're right, you've already cut me off. See? Now we have to wait once more. Well, that's the creative process. A guiding thread for the really damn shitty lines that I end up writing. But the main thread is just what carries the episode along. The key to each episode is in the story we tell, with its images, with what needs to be done, with what we've seen, or with what we've traveled through. Location shooting, or filming the footage itself of what's going to appear in this video. This is without a doubt my favorite part, because it's where I enjoy doing whatever it is I'm going to show in the video. Whether it's installing something, building a new invention, or above all, sailing. A bunch of hours of fun for me, which I usually capture in the video, is usually the first thing that gets filmed, since it's usually the installation and testing of whatever comes up in the episode. The thing is, and let's not kid ourselves, there have been times when I've left the part where I test the invention for the end. And then it turns out it doesn't quite work, with the resulting frustration. Or it surprises us by working much better than we expected, like what happened to us, for example, with the pasta discs. That toilet thing to plug the leaks in the boat, which I expected would work, but I couldn't even imagine it was going to work. This part is also the hardest to keep up. The racco. The famous raccord Carlos talks about, which I figured out was here, because what may look like it was filmed in a single day, in the video story could have been filmed over several days, and it doesn't look good if that shows. We have to maintain continuity. That's the main reason why my wardrobe always seems to be limited to just a single jacket and a t-shirt.
The outfit.
The outfit. And it even forces me to wear this jacket throughout the summer, even when it's 30 degrees outside. It's not that I don't have more, it's simply to make it feel like we're not actually breaking continuity. Aside from that, there are always some shots to film, whether with collaborators, friends, shots of the little jokes we include in the video, etc. Of course, all of this usually never turns out right on the first try. Other times I've spent hours recording fabulous shots, doing truly spectacular sailing, and feeling so proud, only for Carlos to then use just 30 seconds.
It's just that only the best of the best of the best gets in.
Sure, all those hours fall into oblivion. We started filming these shots with the phone, the GoPro, even sometimes with my Canon camera, but of course Carlos would complain to me, my hand isn't very steady.
Okay, so we've been trying to evolve and improve our recording gear, and now I record almost everything with a 360 camera. Specifically, we record everything with the Insta-One X. 360 cameras are a real revolution. Not just because you can make immersive first-person videos, but because you don't have to worry about aiming the camera. You record, the camera records everything around it, and then you can focus on choosing the right shot, or even multiple shots. For example, from a single take, you can end up getting 2 or 3 completely different shots. And this camera is responsible for several of the drone-style shots we've recorded, both on the boat and on the bicycle. In the end, instead of a drone, it's just a camera on a long pole. We also film with a drone, but not much because Santander is a highly restricted area for drone flights, so we save it for some of the shots we record when we're traveling around on excursions or that kind of thing. Of course, the drone we use in those videos is a Chinese drone. It's not exactly anything amazing, but it performs very well for its price, and basically that's where almost all of my part ends. We already have the idea, the script, the material to make the video, and then that's when the editing begins and Carlos puts his knowledge and skill to work. What can I tell you about editing? Editing is a key moment, and it's one where you have to do it.
Wait, seriously. No. What are you going to talk about? I mean, I'll talk about the editing. What are you going to talk about regarding the editing?
Well, good thing you're getting me out of here because I didn't know what to say. How's it going?
The cool thing about editing is that it's not a task that you could say is especially difficult or complex, but it is a task that's demanding in terms of effort. Editing takes a tremendous amount of time. To give you some concrete numbers so you can really get a clear idea, the videos we produce that run around 20 to 25 minutes or so take approximately between 20 and 25 hours of work just for the editing. A whole lot of work, but the coolest part is that editing has a not very artistic aspect if you want.
Okay.
My editing process here is very specific and quite particular to each person. When we finish filming, I take all of that material back home with me. The very first thing I do is to take care of the ingest process. It consists of taking all the footage that's been recorded. I don't really care about the original source, the timeline David told you about, the 360 videos, or the mobile phone videos. You take everything and transfer it onto the computer where you're going to edit it. In addition to that, it also requires watching through all the videos and renaming them so you can see exactly what's in each one. Then, the next thing you have to do is what's called normalization. Every video that's been recorded with a different camera, with a different mic, with a different lighting level, you have to take all of them and make everything consistent and uniform so you don't see much of a difference. If I'm talking and I switch to an outdoor video where there's a lot more light, then the contrast shouldn't be noticeable and the volume should stay more or less constant throughout all the clips. Then, once everything is neatly in place and you have all the videos, it's time to do what's called the baseline or the baseline, the entire video, the main thread running through it, usually narrated by David from start to finish. That's what allows us to understand how long the video is ultimately going to be. And there's a task you have to do that basically consists of removing all of the blank spaces. For example, I can start talking like this, or you can see this edited, I can start talking like this. This is about removing all the blank spaces, which makes it more dynamic overall, and David is talking the whole time. Any blank space. It just doesn't make sense to watch David when he isn't saying anything. We have the timeline, and we still have two very important tasks to do. The first, when David is talking, I personally don't like it to be a fixed, static shot. So that's why, when you watch a video, if you haven't noticed it yet, you can check the previous ones. I use techniques like slow, subtle zoom-ins, or a bigger enlargement when he's about to say a line or something really important, or a zoom out when he's finishing up an explanation. These kinds of things, in the end, when it comes to watching the video, what you achieve is that it's much more pleasant, much more engaging, and that you don't get bored. There's one thing, you can't keep the same shot in a YouTube video without changing it for more than 30 seconds, because the guy watching it is going to get bored. Can you imagine all that? All that work? And the last thing is to add what I call the bling bling, adding the effects, putting together the external videos, the cuts, and all that kind of stuff. The on-screen text, the jokes we make, the emojis when something funny happens. In the end, what I do is I play the video from the very beginning to the very end, and in my head, as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, so right here, the poop emoji, when he said I don't really know what. Look, here they said toilet. So I'm going to use the toilet joke I used last time.
I demand that you put a poop emoji on yourself, please.
A poop emoji like this one. When it's all finished, the only thing left is to add the intro, add the outro, which are clips that have already been created, and put in the background music track, which sometimes stays the same, the traditional narration music we use, or for specific videos like when we go out on the street or whatever, we look for a piece of music that fits a bit better. Once all of this is finished, it's time to render the video. Usually a solid 2.5 hours on the computer because, well, my computer isn't exactly one of the most powerful on the market, and then I pass it along to David and the process keeps going, and that's the edit so far.
When the release day gets close, Carlos usually sends me the video already finished, or at least almost finished. A real marvel in my opinion, and damn, it even seems like I speak pretty well. But no, it's Carlos, through lots of cuts, who makes it look like this is easy and that I'm really smooth and articulate. All false. Once the final video is done, all that's left is to upload it to YouTube. But then come the most tedious parts. The video title, striking a balance between attracting new viewers and staying true to the followers we already have. The descriptions with all the links, the stuff we add, and that YouTube stubbornly hides on some devices like phones, so nobody can even find the description or the post on our website, which helps us rank in searches and lets us expand on info that doesn't fit in the description or in the video itself. Finally, the subtitles, since it's our goal to reach an international audience, and for the moment they aren't very profitable, but we keep producing them for the few English followers and I think the 2 French ones we have, or hope to have. And of course, the key to all videos, the thumbnail, that place where you have to capture the content of your video in a single image, and it has to be eye-catching enough so that a user whom YouTube shows hundreds of videos notices it and feels curious to watch the video. I usually choose the most representative frame from the video, which happens to be the one where I usually look the ugliest, and I combine it with frames, images, and descriptive icons that can help capture the fleeting visitor who doesn't know us yet. It's basically about getting their attention, and that's where my difference in criteria with Carlos comes in. I think of something representative, with eye-catching text, and if possible something funny, and that's when Carlos tells me more.
Bigger the biggest letters in red that you can see? Are they bold?
Well, that's what he tells me every time. Anyway, in the end, all that packaging might be the key to whether a video succeeds or not. Once the video is published, well, that's it. Everything's done. Watching it with the family at last on the big screen, seeing how the stats keep going up, reading and replying to your comments, and sharing it and urging you to share it on social media, trying to reach people who still don't know us, because in the end, for this to make sense, we have to reach as many people as possible, grow, and have more people watch and enjoy our videos. A reason for personal pride, and of course also very good for monetization. Monetization, the thing that lets you buy houses in Andorra, mansions, live in total luxury like a YouTuber, we'd sure like that. The truth is that making money on YouTube is only within reach of a few, and it's also the reason why many who become famous on YouTube run off to other platforms like Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, etc. Making videos on YouTube rarely pays off financially. Hundreds of thousands of views on a video usually translates into just over 100 euros. Even with that many views, it's very hard to make a living from this. In the end, you have to like it and you have to enjoy doing it. For us right now, the money we make from YouTube ads, or when you buy on AliExpress or Amazon through the links in our description or on our website, helps and motivates us to keep making videos and lets us upgrade our recording gear or get a new gadget on AliExpress to test and that kind of stuff. But it doesn't go beyond that. In the end, every day we still have to keep going to our real jobs, to work, because that's what still puts food on the table for us. As you grow, new funding systems start to appear, along with some consequences of fame. Some of them are better than money, like meeting a bunch of followers in person who ask questions but also help, give you things, or take a few minutes of their time to say hi and thank you. In my experience so far, wonderful people, some you even become friends with, or the first sponsors who offer products to try or help with certain tasks, which we're always grateful for, and which we always handle with the channel's usual honesty. We could definitely make a list of everything we might need just in case a sponsor shows up, and now you've made a list like that. And finally, the best thing is setting up an affiliate system where followers can donate directly to the channel. It really amazes me that people are willing to give as a thank you without asking for anything in return. After all, the videos are available for free, and I help many people who ask me for help without asking anything in return. I don't make distinctions, and even so, there are people who see the value in it and are grateful enough to contribute directly to the channel. I want to publicly thank Carlos, Pau, and Manuel, who have been the first to use our donate button, and it's not just the financial contribution they've made, but their willingness to support the channel in that way. Thank you so much. Seriously, thank you so much.
And they will also be the very first guests invited to the grand opening of the truly luxurious mansion for nautical YouTubers.
Certainly, of course, all three of you. All three of you are welcome to come there and have a seafood cocktail.
Well,
bring warm clothes because it's going to be cold in Andorra. And now I'll tell you that after a whole year of videos, I'm honestly at a loss for words. Well, this has been a full year of videos. It's been 27 episodes that we've already made together with you, and more than 8,000 subscribers that we've gained in this first year. Thousands and thousands of hours you've spent watching our videos, hundreds of thousands of views. The truth is, we're absolutely thrilled. We never imagined it when we started this, not in a million years.
Yeah, I did, but I didn't want to tell you, so I wouldn't spoil it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, please remember to give us a like and subscribe to the channel. You can also click the little bell to receive notifications every time one of our videos comes out. You can find all the links to all the material we use to record all our tips in the video description, and above all on our website www.thelowcostsailor.com. Don't leave us stranded, we're not gonna do that. Despite all the effort it takes now to keep filming episodes, despite having to go look for baby bottles and having just enough time to make it to the next baby bottle, we're going to keep recording episodes. You'll arrive right on time in this new year, exactly 2 weeks from now, in a new episode of The Low Cost Sailor.
Does that work for you?
That works for me.